Leadership isn't just about what you do, it's about how you speak and how you are. Most people don't realize that the way they speak is quietly sabotaging their credibility. We live in a world where noise is constant and opinions are everywhere. And in this environment, authority isn't given, it's earned. And it's earned in every interaction that you have. And that is how important communication is in your life. Knowing how to communicate well can be the difference between you staying stuck in your job or you getting that promotion you want so badly. We've been taught to focus on delivering information, but not on how we deliver it. To speak fast to show competence, to hedge our words so we don't sound arrogant, to react instantly so we seem engaged. All habits that slowly chip away at the trust and respect that we're trying to inspire in others and build in our relationships. And the cost? You can have the best idea in the room, but if you don't sound like a leader, no one will listen. And they won't follow you. You'll be overlooked in meetings, outmaneuvered in negotiations, and underestimated in moments that could have been your breakthrough. Because the truth is, leadership presence doesn't just live in your job title, your resume, or your results. It lives in how you speak and how you behave yourself, the clarity of your message, the composure you show under pressure, the conviction in your tone, and the structure of your words. But the good news? As everything else you will find on this channel, these are skills you can learn. And today, I'll show you 3 core techniques that the best leaders use to inspire trust and respect every time they speak. Plus a little bonus at the end if you stick around, and I hope you do, because that is probably the most important thing any leader must possess. We'll draw on psychology, neuroscience, and real-world leadership examples so you can start applying them immediately in any given context. Because being a good leader doesn't limit itself at your job. It lives in every area of your life, in your professional network, as well as within your family and friends. So, let's do this, shall we? Hi there, I'm Letitia, actor and communication and public speaking coach, here to help you become a stronger and more impactful communicator by helping you enhance your communication skills to create connections that matter, one conversation at a time. As an executive coach, I've helped countless people reclaim their voice, lead with courage, and regain trust and self-confidence in their communication skills. And I'm here to help you become a super communicator. Have you ever been in a meeting where you spoke up? Maybe you shared an idea you'd thought through carefully, and nothing happened? No follow-up questions, no nods, maybe not even a few polite smiles? And then 10 minutes later, someone else repeats your point and suddenly their version gets all the attention? They are saying exactly what you just said. Outrageous. That moment isn't just frustrating, it chips away at your self-confidence and your credibility. And for leaders or anyone who wants to be seen as a leader, that's very dangerous. When your words don't land, your influence fades. And the less influence you have, the less you can shape decisions, protect your team, or advance the changes that you know are needed. This isn't about speaking louder or dominating the conversation. It's about speaking in a way that inspires trust and respect. So when you open your mouth, people listen. And here's why this matters now. The quality of your communication directly affects the trust people place in you. Gallup, workplace consulting and global research platform, found that leaders who communicate clearly and confidently are over 4 times more likely to have engaged, high-performing teams. Yet, many highly competent professionals unintentionally sabotage their own authority with small habits that make them sound unsure, reactive, or unfocused. One of the fastest ways to erode trust is to ramble. When leaders take too long to make a point, they're often seen as uncertain, unfocused, or in some cases, even hiding something. When you overload people with details, they can't tell what's important from what's not. And when they can't tell what's important, they stop listening. Research on processing fluency, a term coined in cognitive psychology, examines how easily our brains can take in, interpret, and store information. In their 2004 paper, Reber, Schwartz, and Winkelmann demonstrated that when a message is easier to process, whether because the language is simple, the structure is clear, or the delivery is smooth, the audience unconsciously rates the communicator as more intelligent, more credible, and more trustworthy. The effect is not just about comprehension, it's about perception. When your listener experiences your message as effortless to follow, they interpret that fluency as a sign of competency and control. In contrast, when they have to work hard to decode what you're saying through jargon or overcomplication or zigzaggy delivery, they're more likely to feel confused, doubt your expertise, or disengage entirely. It's also proven neurologically. In a 2019 Nature Communication study, Mayer and colleagues used neuroimaging to observe what happens in the brain when people receive concise, concrete information versus the same information expressed in a long, abstract way. The results were striking. Concise and concrete communication activates the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex more strongly, the regions associated with memory encoding, attention focus, and decision-making. This means that your audience is not only hearing you more clearly, they're also more likely to remember what you said, to focus on it in the moment, and use it to make decisions later. In other words, clarity isn't just polite and powerful, it literally shapes how the brain of your listener treats your message as something worth listening to, remembering, or acting on it and trusting. The brain doesn't just prefer clarity, it engages more deeply with it. And it's not just about being understood. Clarity signals confidence. If you can express yourself without drowning in details, people assume you know your subject, and they're far more likely to trust you, to follow you, and give you influence in the room. So, before you speak, especially when it matters, take a moment to summarize your point in 1 or 2 sentences. Use this formula: state, reason, next step. Here is a professional example. State: client feedback is inconsistent. Reason: it's causing delays in the design process. Next step: let's take a 15-minute weekly check-in to review changes together. Or a personal example. State: we've both been missing our evening walks lately. Reason: we end up staying late at work and then get too tired and end up not having quality time together. Next step: let's block our calendars at 6:30 so we can make sure that we leave on time. Specific, actionable, clear, and respectful. In leadership meetings, concise statements are more likely to trigger a response because they're easy to grab onto. People can agree, challenge, or ask for clarification afterwards, but they can't ignore you because they understood you. And over time, when you consistently speak with clarity and precision, you become the person people listen to first, because you will be the one that gets straight to the point. If you're enjoying this video so far, let me know by clicking on that like button or comment this emoji to let me know that you've made it this far. After having seen our first point to inspire trust and respect as a leader, being concise, let's talk about one of the most visible leadership tests: how you respond under pressure. Many leaders, even experienced ones, lose respect from their co-workers when they get defensive, emotional, or rushed in a tense situation. They might blurt something out, use a sharp tone, or fill the silence with too many words. In that instant, their team or their counterpart stops seeing them as the steady, grounded presence that they can rely on. One emotional misstep can undo months of credibility. As Warren Buffett says very well, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. So let's not do that for ourselves, shall we? This is where non-reactivity becomes your greatest asset. In 1998, James Gross, one of the most cited researchers in emotional regulation, found that the leaders who manage their initial reactions to events are consistently perceived as more competent and trustworthy. It's not just because they look calm, it's because in those moments of uncertainty, your nervous system becomes your message. If you're calm, you broadcast safety. People think we're in good hands. But if you're reactive, you broadcast instability. People think, well, if they're panicking, maybe I should too. It's like being the pilot of a plane flying into a sudden storm. The passengers aren't just watching the rain streak across the windows or the lightning flashing outside, they're watching you. If your hands are steady on the controls and your voice is calm over the intercom, they'll believe that you can get them through safely. But if you're frantically switching controls, barking orders to the crew, or letting your own tension show, they'll feel the danger twice as much, and their fear will rise to match yours. That's the power and the responsibility of leadership presence. The words you choose matter, but the state of your nervous system, the energy that you spill, speaks first. And everyone in the room hears and feels it loud and clear. If you're calm, you project safety, a signal that it's okay to follow your lead. But if you're reactive, you project instability, and people instinctively protect themselves rather than align with you. Neuroscience explains this through mirror neurons. When you stay calm, others' brains mirror that state. When you show stress, you spread it. Emotional contagion is real. Leaders either amplify chaos or stabilize it. Whether you're leading a team, negotiating with a client, or parenting a child, the moments when tension rises are the moments people remember. They become your highlight stories, the stories others tell about you when you're not in the room. If you're the person who loses your cool, your reliability will always be in question. But if you're the person who stays composed when everyone else is spiraling around you, if you're the rock people can hold on to, people will instinctively trust you with greater responsibility, more sensitive information, and higher stakes opportunities. So, when something unexpected, challenging, or provocative comes your way, don't respond immediately. Instead, take a breath, silently, and try to take it deep, not shallow. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Use those 30 seconds to calm your physiology and choose your words. Let your mind slow down. Let your body language speak before you do. Relax your shoulders, still your hands, keep your eyes steady on the solution. That pause does two things. Internally, it gives your brain a chance to shift away from emotional reactivity, the amygdala, to rational decision-making, the prefrontal cortex. Externally, it signals to others that you're thinking, not reacting, which reads as strength and calm. And under pressure, my friend, that is real charisma and confidence. And that's you. Here's a language framework for you to exercise with. When you do speak, after giving yourself those 3 seconds we've seen previously, start by acknowledging the other person's input, then pivot to constructive action. Acknowledge, say their name, and then state the action to follow. For example, I hear your concern, Celine. Let's look at the numbers to address it. Or, that's a strong point, Sam. Here's another angle to consider. This approach validates the other person without giving up your authority, and it keeps the focus on solutions rather than escalation or on the problem. William Ury, in Getting to Yes, describes the power of a well-timed pause in negotiation. After a provocative statement, staying silent often compels the other person to fill the space. They may reveal more information, soften their position, or even talk themselves into your perspective. That's the beauty of non-reactivity. It's not about being passive. It's about using calm as an active, strategic tool. If you want me to go more into details about the art of communication and negotiation, drop negotiation tips in the comments below and let's start a poll. Also, don't be shy. Click on that like button if it's not already done. And let's be very clear before moving on to our last section. Non-reactivity is not about pretending that you're calm while you're panicking inside. That's a mask, and people will see right through it. It's about cultivating real internal confidence so that you are truly calm. And the more you practice this in both low stakes and high stakes situations, the more natural it becomes, until composure is your default and your natural charisma can shine through. Even if you're concise and composed, your authority can vanish in seconds if you sound uncertain. And often this happens in two very subtle ways. Tentative language, I think maybe we could, or I'm not sure, but maybe, and upward inflection, turning your statements into questions, even when you mean to be assertive. Both send the same message to your listeners. I don't fully believe in what I'm saying, and maybe you shouldn't either. And that's not the message that you want to be giving, is it? Research on linguistic framing shows that confident word choice using decisive, unambiguous language significantly increases perceived competence. The words you choose don't just convey information, they frame how credible you appear to others. Tone matters just as much. A 2017 Harvard Business Review article summarized findings that statements ending in downward inflection, when you drop in pitch at the end, increase perceptions of credibility, authority, and trustworthiness. The downward pitch signals finality. You've considered your point and you stand by it. The opposite, the upwards inflection, is a vocal cue that the brain associates with uncertainty, deference, or even questioning. It's great for asking genuine questions, but fatal if you're making a decision or a provoking point. Your words are the structure of the lighthouse, strong, well-built, and designed to last. And your tone is the beam of light it sends out in the darkness. A solid structure without a steady beam leaves ships unsure where to steer. But when the light is bright and unwavering, captains trust it to guide them to safety, no matter how rough the seas. In leadership, conviction doesn't mean stubbornness. On the contrary, leadership is probably where you need to be the most inventive, creative, and flexible to withstand everything. Because believe me, the storms are coming. No. It means showing that you've thought through your position enough to stand behind it. This is crucial in moments where your team or clients are looking to you for direction. If you hedge your language or let your tone rise to uncertainty, you leave space for doubt to grow. And in high-stakes situations, a funding pitch, a crisis meeting, or a negotiation, that doubt can cost you deals, opportunities, and even your team's trust. So, replace "I hope to" or "I want to" with "I will" or "we will." Deliver important statements with a downward inflection to signal certainty. This is the difference between "let's do this" and "let's do this." Combine this with the slower cadence from part 2 seen previously. Speaking a fraction more slowly allows your conviction to land and gives others time to absorb it. Leaders, even fictive ones like Thomas Shelby from Peaky Blinders, rarely raise their voice. But because their language is decisive and their tone is steady, people lean in when they speak. They don't command the room by force, they draw it in with certainty, calm, and poise. If this is clicking with you and you're already thinking about how to implement all this in your life, download the free communication document I've linked in the description below. And while you're at it, maybe start thinking of subscribing to this channel. It's just a thought, just a thought. Now for our bonus tool. Something promised is something due. Here's your bonus tool of today to inspire trust and respect as a leader. The rule of 3. This comes from ancient rhetoric, but it's still one of the most powerful ways to make your ideas stick. Simon Lancaster's, who's written speeches for top political and business leaders, teaches that grouping ideas in 3s makes them sound more compelling, more credible, and easier to remember. And he's not the only one using it. It's a powerful tool that has been used throughout history. Veni, Vidi, Vici, or government of the people, by the people, for the people. Yep. This works because of what George Miller called the chunking effect. Our brains are better at holding small clusters of information, and 3 is the sweet spot. You can use this in many ways. In tricolon, clarity, courage, connection, or in anaphora, we will adapt, we will grow, we will lead. These patterns are everywhere in great leadership communication. From Churchill's, "We shall fight on the beaches, we shall fight on the landing grounds, we shall fight in the fields and in the streets, we shall fight in the hills, we shall never surrender," to Obama's, "A world at war, a planet in peril, the worst financial crisis in a generation," and so many more. Try using them in your next presentation or team update and see how much more people remember. You're welcome. You can learn all the techniques, clarity, composure, conviction, rhetoric, but without courage, you'll never use them when it counts. I align with Simon Sinek, who says courage is the most undervalued leadership trait. It's what allows you to advance a vision even if it's unpopular, to take risks on people, to speak truth to power, and to act with integrity when it's hard, to choose what is hard instead of what's comfortable, to choose the truth. Courage is also what creates psychological safety. Research shows that in teams where leaders create safe spaces for speaking up, innovation and engagement go up, and fear goes down. Speaking like a leader isn't about theatrics or dominance. It's about clarity when others are confused, calm when others are tense, and conviction when others hesitate, and the courage to use your voice in service of those you lead. Courage to support them, to stick up for them, and to let them shine. So, here's my challenge to you. This week, take one of these techniques and use it in a real conversation. Notice how people respond differently. And remember, every time you speak, you are building trust and creating a connection, one sentence at a time. So, which of these will you try first? Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe, like, share this video if you found it helpful, and watch the next video that comes up on your screen if you want to continue enhancing your communication skills with me. I'll see you in the next video, my friend. But until then, take care, follow your passion, and speak up. Ciao, ciao.